What is up, y'all? It's your girl, brand new, and honey, I am back in the building. Listen. This time, honey, I am back with a Sanford and Son extra, honey. We got Mr. Damon Wilson, who played Lamont on Sanford and Son. He gets honest about Red Fox, one of Miss Robinson's, honey, favorite comedians, dying broke. So let's check out what he thinks about all of that, honey. That's just crazy.
$1 million contract that you had, right? And Red was also seeing a lot of money at the time. Now, upon our research, Red would end up passing away a man that owed the IRS, like he had financial troubles. Did it hurt you to know that he kind of went out that way, being the legend that he was?
First of all, I don't have empathy for people that do things to themselves. The statistics, if an oppressor, if the world kicks you in the head, that's one thing. But when you don't do what you're supposed to do, I have no sympathy or empathy for you at all. Red would file every year. I just paid my corporate tax. I paid corporate tax, personal tax, property tax every year. Red would file, but he never, ever paid. And they called him down to the IRS offices, and he performed. And not in a nice, kind way.
Ooh, child. What did Red Fox say? This is the big one. I'm coming to join you, honey. Okay, you all remember that little saying he used to say on Sanford and Son? I absolutely love and adore Red Fox. He is one of my favorite comedians. I was introduced to him before Martin Lawrence, the comedian. Okay, so those are like my two favorite comedians. Also love Eddie Murphy and Cat Williams. Shout out to my boy Cat. Okay, he been dragging the people, honey. Okay. But yeah, I remember being a little girl, I used to watch E! True Hollywood Story, and I think they did one on Red Fox. And I remember seeing the IRS, take everything, and he was on camera saying they taking everything, they taking this, they taking that, and he hadn't paid his damn taxes. Okay, he didn't agree with, paying his damn taxes. So, like all things in life, you got to pay your taxes. There are, consequences for when you don't do what you're supposed to do. So I do agree with Damon, honey.
And then the trucks pulled up and they took everything. So why would I feel anything for that? That was his fault. He did that to himself.
I guess because you would imagine that, you would assume that the people around him would look after him, or was that not the case?
The people around him were sycophants. Okay? What are they going to say? They're just there for the money. As soon as that went, they went. He was sitting out in front of his house. Talk to me, brother. Don't look at them notes.
Uh-oh. I like Damon, honey. Okay, he said, talk to me, brother. Don't look at them notes.
He was sitting out in front of his house on a box and a T-shirt, and the trucks were taking everything away. And he says, it seems like somebody would help me. He was talking to me. I know he was.
So why didn't you step in? Just because of what
Why the hell would he step in? Why would you keep asking all these dumb questions? Like he said, he can't feel sorry for him. When Red knew what he was doing. He knew he didn't pay his taxes. And then he had a lot of people he grew up with around him. He was taking care of them. And you can't live your life like that, you guys. You can't have a whole bunch of people around you eating off of your dime. Iron sharpens iron. You have to be around like-minded people. I don't care how long you may have known anybody, I don't care about that. They need to be bringing something of substance to your life, you need to be able to contact them if you have an emergency and vice versa. Do not be around people where you're the breadwinner, you're the smart person. You know, they're looking for you to help them out of any emergency situation they get in. That is a one-sided friendship, and don't nobody want to be in nothing like that. It's not lucrative. It does not pay off in the end. Okay, it is not mutually beneficial, okay, in the long run, okay?
You just said.
Well, of course. Why am I going to throw good money after bad? That doesn't make sense, brother. I'm from the old school.
I got you. But this is, first of all, I appreciate this candidness, because you don't get this, and this is what I love. But looking on the outside in, you would imagine that Red helped you is what it could look like. It could look that way.
How?
Because he was a bigger star.
Red was an actor. I flew to Vegas. I did All in the Family with Cleavon Little, the late Cleavon Little, Blazing Saddles. And Bud Yorkin called me up and he said, Damon, I said, I don't want to do television, buddy. You get typecast in it, and people think you are that character. I said, if the show hits, I don't want to do it. So he talked me into doing All in the Family. The episode was very successful. They said, he called me up a month or so later and said, would you like to do a series with Red Foxx? And I said, Red Foxx? Who's going to put him on television? Are you nuts? They'll never put him on television. He said, well, I think...
That's because Red Foxx, honey, at that time used a lot of 4-letter words, okay? Meanwhile, you know, you got comedians like Bill Cosby, you know, he was kind of the Will Smith of comedy in terms of not cursing, right? And, you know, trying to somewhat be politically correct with things. Some things, because, honey, he was still, you know, doing what he did. We're not going to get off into it, but we know, you know, what he went away for. Okay, we'll just put it like that. Okay, he was Will Smith with not cursing in his comedy acts, but he damn sure wasn't no damn Will Smith with what he was doing with the women, child. Okay, and we would just leave that like that.
I think you guys need to meet to see if there's anything there. Flew to Vegas, 3 o'clock in the morning, we're sitting in Red's garage, because he did Glitter Gulch, 2 shows a night. And immediately I noticed that there was a synergy. He didn't give anybody, it was Aaron Rubin, the producer, and myself. He didn't give anybody a chance to say anything because he was on a roll. He'd just come off the stage. So what you have here is an older guy and a younger guy, both actors, going for a part. They cut his salary down $5,000. He was making $10K in Vegas. I had done 2 films and some other stuff, and the most that I'd ever made on Broadway or in a film was $5,000. Huh? They started off. They paid me $1,200, and they had that contract that I understand record producers use on artists. Babyface use it on PLC. Increments. They give you increments, and if you don't go on the road to promote your record, you got to pay for that too. So it was that kind of situation. Red and I were just 2 actors thrown together. The thing that we had in common was that we were not going to take any BS from anybody, black, white, Asian, or Hispanic.
I love that. I love it. They really had a great chemistry on Sanford and Son. It really did seem like that could be his son, or Red could really be his father, you know? So, wow. I remember growing up, you guys, they used to play Sanford and Son on BET. My mother would be gone all day at work. Me and my brother, we would get our snack. We would watch Sanford and Son. And I really took to the show. I had to be about 5, 6 years old, like that young, 5, 6, 7 years old, watching Sanford and Son. And I just kept watching it. I started watching Good Times. And, you know, my mother was like, yeah, girl, when I was coming up, them shows, you know, they were popular. I started watching What's Happening with Raj and Dee and who else? Hey, Dwayne and Rerun. That was my show too.
Red from the street, I am also. Because somebody's educated, that doesn't mean that you know, that they're a sissy boy. I came up in Harlem. You see what I'm saying? Ain't nobody ever took my sneakers. I played ball. Charlie Scott was my buddy, NBA player. I played ball, and when you grow up in the inner city like I did, if you're good at sports, you're accepted. So Red and I were just two actors that came together. He never gave me no money. I never gave him any money. Money, women, drugs never came between us. Everything was on equal footing now, equal footing. As the show progressed, it became younger brother, older brother. We'd run stuff past each other. Red knew better. He's older than me. You know.
Yeah, he know better. Okay.
Let me say this to you, young brother. When that series started, it was Red, myself, Aaron Rubin, Buddy Yorkin, and we were the big, strong four. Everybody was like the Musketeers, the Three Musketeers and D'Artagnan. When the money started coming in, I watched people lose their mind. Now, you would assume, since you like that term, that the youngest member of that group would have been off the chain. The youngest member was holding the reins. Everybody else was going nuts. Red was going nuts. He had all those old people from back in the day coming around him. Here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go.
Wow.
The hands out. And I just sat back and watched it. My era was to be cool. I didn't want to grow up and break dance and sweat my clothes up. I wanted to sit back and be cool. I'm from the era of cool. You see me with a pork pie hat on? No. I watched Red. I watched him. I study people, brother. I watched you for 5 minutes.
You did?
Yes.
He said, I watched you for 5 minutes. I love him. I love him. And I've been listening to a lot of Damon Wilson's like interviews. He does really great interviews, you guys. He has a nice, clear voice. He still sounds the same. This man is 75 years old now. Still sound the same, still look good. He has obviously taken care of himself. The last time I seen him, though, on TV, I think he was on Girlfriends. He was Lynn's father child. I just want to see, get some comments from the people to see what they think about this. I thought that this was very interesting. I loved everything he said, even though I'm a huge Red Foxx fan. Like, he's like one of my favorite comedians. I agree with what, Damon Wilson said. Like, I'm not about to be helping somebody out that know what the hell they know what the hell they doing. They know they not paying their bills. They out here giving their money away to all these people from, back in the day, they childhood friends. Like, no, you don't just give money away to people. Can those people give you some money when, hard times kick in for you? And like, Damon said, as soon as Red began having the financial issues, them people scattered like roaches. They wasn't there to build him back up and to have his back. So, yeah. One person says, I agree 100% with Mr. Wilson. Everybody should be responsible for their own choices. Another person says Damon Wilson is one of those rare, solid bros from the old school that if you're really listening, he just gives you wisdom in 7 minutes more than you will ever learn. Another person says, both Damon and Fred provided some needed heartfelt laughter in prime time back in the day. Another person says Wilson is also a Vietnam vet that took a lot of crap when he returned to the States. So that contributed to his no-nonsense attitude. Another person says, so I guess Lamont wasn't a big dummy after all, you big dummy. Rest in peace, honey, the Red Foxx. I still love you, baby. Because comedy, that's where it started, you guys, for me. That was the first person I liked. He was light-skinned too. And I told my mother, I was like, Mama, he looked like he could be my grandfather. She said, well, claim him then. He could be your granddad. But I just love, when I tell you I took to that man, I took to him. He was like a father figure in my head, and I really loved him. Me and my brother, we used to sit up at home all day, watch Sanford and Son. We would have marathons, eating snacks and just having a ball, So another person says it's impossible to help people with destructive behaviors. Then you become an elder for their lifestyle, an enabler for their lifestyle. Mr. Wilson is straight on with the facts. Great wisdom. Yes. Another person says, I have seen people like Red Fox in my personal life, and Mr. Wilson is right. And many times you can't tell them anything because they won't listen. They are surrounded by people who are telling them everything they want to hear, not what they need to hear. All of that has happened. All that would have happened is Mr. Wilson getting cussed out by Red Fox. Mr. Wilson stayed in his lane, and he probably did so because he knew Fox well enough to know what to do and what not to do. Yeah, absolutely. Another person says Damon Wilson is a very wise man. He loved Red, but he's honest. Many people just talk good about someone because they're dead. Exactly. Their passing is sad, but it doesn't change the truth. And I told y'all the truth needs no proof, okay? And the person goes on to say he knows Red wasn't perfect. It takes a certain level of mutual love and respect to hold someone accountable. I applaud him and will always adore the show and consider it a comedic masterpiece. Yep, that's what it was. And that's all thanks to the incredible actors and comedians on the show. Yup, because you got LaWanda Page. She grew up with Red. And I think they really went to school in St. Louis. Y'all remember he used to always talk about St. Louis? Y'all remember Grady? Do y'all remember Grady kind of took over in the third season? Put your hands up. Y'all remember that episode he had when he pulled that gun out on Lamont? I know, and Lamont looked so irritated, honey. Grady was funny, honey. Grady, you had Bubba. My favorite episode of Sanford and Son was the pool table episode. I'm going to have to go back and watch me some Sanford and Son, honey. Okay, I'm missing the show. Listen. But I had to cover this story, you guys, because I am just such a fan of Sanford and Son. I'm such a fan of Red Fox. I'm such a fan of Damon Wilson. And I will be purchasing his book because I think he did a book. They don't have it on Amazon, but he actually talks about the history of Sanford and Son and his experience with Red Fox. And, you know, he got several books. So I will definitely, I will be getting those books. Okay. So that's all I got to say about all of that, you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I am your girl, brand new, and I will check you guys out in the next video.